Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thrilled to have you all here as we begin yet another Shabbat, we'll end one week and find moments to remember Shabbat and also kind of take care of ourselves too by setting aside a day for rest. And so, I don't know, Kendra, how should we start tonight, do you think? Would you like Ma'afe Hayom or Hine Matov?
How about Hine Matov?
Hine Matov, how good it is for us to be together. Page 128.
Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Hine Matov. Ya la 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 la. Hine matov, hine matov. Ya la 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 la. Hine matov umanayim. Ya la 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 la. Hine matov umanayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim. Shevet achim gam yachad.
We will turn now to page 142 as we welcome in Shabbat. Welcome in the angels of Shabbat. We'll be talking a little bit later about how in our Torah portion this week, just like last week, angels show up. Maybe we can all be angels in a way. And so let's welcome those angels of Shabbat and be those angels of Shabbat, bringing peace into our world. Page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachim Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachim Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei Olachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzitachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
It's great to see so many of you coming in all at once. And thank you also for those of you who are watching us online, wherever you may be. It's nice for us to come together because Shabbat, after all, is a time for celebration. That's one of the ways to remember Shabbat. We're going to do that on page 138 with the singing of Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Ene Shabbat Nekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Ene Shabbat Nekavela. Shamor Zachor, B'dibor Echad Hishmi'anu, El HaMeyuchad Adonai Echad, U'Shema Echad, L'Shem Tiferet, Elitila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Ene Shabbat Nekavela. And again, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Ene Shabbat רוחה, סוף מעשי במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, יקרא קלה, ונשבה נקבילה. לך דודי, יקרא קלה, ונשבה נקבילה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורף קומי אורי, אורי, אורי. שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני, עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לקרא קלה, ונשבה נקבילה. לך דודי, לקרא קלה, ונשבה נקבילה.
We'll rise and face the entrance as we greet Shabbat.
Bye ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. באוי חלה, באוי חלה, לך דודי, לקרא קלה, ונשבה נקבילה. לך דודי, לקרא קלה, ונשבה נקבילה.
And now that we've greeted Shabbat, let's take a moment and greet each other, wish each other Shabbat Shalom. Maybe introduce yourself to somebody new, and when you hear the music playing, we'll come back together. Once in a while, I like to invite somebody to light Shabbat candles. I'm like, oh, somebody's really gone above and beyond. And I'm going to do a little spoiler alert for one of the announcements and take that now. I hope that in addition to tonight, you come to our services tomorrow at 9:30, because my good friend Dove is called to the Torah as a B'nai Mitzvah. Several years ago, in my first year here, we had an adult B'nai Mitzvah class, and Dove was a part of that class and studied all year long, but had a conflict the day that the adult B'nai Mitzvah ceremony took place, and so they weren't able to join us that day, but I said, don't worry, next spring we'll do it. Well, COVID. And so we're getting that opportunity tomorrow, and that makes me really happy. So Dove, I'd love to invite you to come up here and light the candles for us, and then for us to join in with Dove for the blessing. Thank you.
But I shouldn't drink all that wine.
Not yet, maybe at the end. It'll make tomorrow more fun. Join together. you, Dove. Seeing that good light energy. We're going to turn now to page 144 as we conclude the beginning part of our service. We'll turn to the Hatzi Kaddish, 144.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה
Amen.
בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומיכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו
Amen.
יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה
Yiparach.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה
Rehu.
לעילה מנחה ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה וימרו
Amen. We rise for our call to worship with Baruch Hu, page 146. You may be seated. On page 149, this is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
Baruch atah Adonai, Amari Aravi.
Page 150.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אתה לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשבח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו ובהם נגד יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
When we were preparing to cross the sea, we had to wrestle with ourselves in that moment. So many of us were like, maybe we shouldn't go. Maybe it's dangerous out there. We don't know what to expect. And what we had to do was push through that insecurity, that fear, and be able to accept ourselves in that moment and say, you know what? No, we deserve freedom. We deserve to be treated with dignity, and we deserve better tomorrows than today. So I hope that we can all find a moment in time to wrestle with ourselves this week and push ourselves maybe out of our comfort zone, so that as a result, we can be more liberated, and we can be happier, and we can see the holiness within ourselves and make sure that our desired lives match up with our actual lives too. Page 158, the Song of Our Freedom, Mi Chamocha.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la la la. Mi chamocha vaylim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar hakodesh, nora tilot asefele, asefele. Malekutecha ra'ovanecha, hakayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam. Malekutecha ra'ovanecha, hakayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam. La la לאדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. Together. Baruch atah Adonai, Gad Yisrael.
Turn to page 160 for the Hashkivenu, asking God to watch over all of us. I know today's been a divisive day in our country, yet another divisive day, and there might be some people who are really in need of healing tonight, and there might be some unrest because of the verdict that came down today that I'll talk about a little later. And so we pray that God watches over all of us and helps us go to bed tonight in peace, even if we feel a bit broken, and arise tomorrow to hopefully a more peaceful world. Page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'ha'amideinu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu tzukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu tzukat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Join me. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'ha'amideinu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amno Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Page 162. We are taught to remember and to guard Shabbat, Shamor, V'zachor, and so we recall that with the words also of Vishamra, telling us to keep Shabbat throughout all times. Page 162.
Vishameru bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם. Join me. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת השבת לדורותם, לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי, וביום השביעי שבת וילבש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, לדורותם ברית עולם.
Turn to page 164 and rise for the Amidah as we ask God to open our lips so that we have the opportunity to say how wonderful God is, recognizing the blessings in our lives.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Yadalai, lai, lai, 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 yadalai, lai, lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ikonei HaKol, זוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגין, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגין אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, וגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable before you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Ose shalom bimrama, v'yase shalom aleinu, v'akol Yisrael, v'yimeru, v'yimeru.
This time in our service, we think about those members of our community and their loved ones who are right now struggling and wrestling with their own illnesses of the mind, body, spirit, or who are maybe in a period of recovery. And to do that, we turn to our prayer for healing, the Misha Berach, on page 371.
This one is kind of based on it. It is Cantor Lisa Levine's and has a very similar sentiment. And I encourage you to echo me on the section of Hear Our Prayer. Misha Berach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Misha Berach Imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel, may the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer,
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 hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
This week, we think of these members of our community and their loved ones. Avraham Shlomo ben Yochanan v'Simcha, Gitolea bat Masha Hana, Barbara Arnovitz, Ariana Berenson, Kevin Bernstein, Denise Dobling, David Dowsett, Genevieve Ellsworth, Shulamit Marguerite Shlomeris Epstein, Yitzhak Bigelski, Will Goldman, Susan Horn, Sharon Katz, Jeffrey W. Levy, Mary Jane Levy-Dixon, Megan Magleby, Shari Pedersen, Ina Sable, Andrea Santoyo, Penny Spector, Linda Stern, Robert Warners, and Judy Wolf. And if you have a name to add when I look in your direction, you're welcome to share with our community. And if you have a name at home, I invite you to share that name too.
Misha Berach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Misha Berach Imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
This weekend in our Parsha, we have a return to Jacob and Esau. We haven't seen the two of those guys together, these brothers, in a couple weeks of reading the Torah, because they were estranged. And as a reminder of how they became estranged was that Jacob was not very kind to Esau as a brother. Jacob was always kind of picking on Esau and taking advantage of Esau's impulsivity. When Esau was born, Jacob, his twin brother, wanted to be born first, so he grabbed onto Esau's heel and tried to pull him back just so that he could be born first. And then as the firstborn, Esau had certain advantages back then of a birthright. And Jacob took advantage of his vulnerability one day when Esau was starving hungry and said, "I'll only give you some soup that I made if and only if you give to me your birthright in exchange." And Esau, not being particularly bright or thinking ahead about consequences, did so. And then, perhaps most egregiously of all, Jacob, when their father, Isaac, was dying, their father had a special blessing for Esau. And Jacob disguised himself as Esau. Their father couldn't see very well. He was blind at that point. And knowing that Esau was hairy, Jacob put fur on his arm so that when he came close to his father and his father touched his arm, he would believe that it was Esau and gave him the blessing that was meant for his older brother. And after this final act, Esau was so angry that Jacob literally feared for his life and ran away. And ran away for years, for decades. But the real problem here was that Jacob wasn't just mean to Esau. He consistently wanted to be someone who he wasn't. He wanted to be Esau. It wasn't like he was just picking at Esau. He wanted the blessing that Esau was receiving. He wanted the blessing, he wanted the birthright that Esau had. He was jealous of Esau in a way and insecure with himself. And in this week's Parsha, what we read is that Jacob and Esau are about to run into each other. And Esau has with him an entire army. And as Jacob is preparing to go and meet Esau, and he's terrified of what will happen to him, along the way, he confronts this being, and we understand maybe later this to be an angel, and he spends the entire night wrestling with this angel. And from this story, he takes on the name Yisrael, the one who wrestles with God. And he also dislocates his hip and has a permanent limp as a result. Well, and something I think about too is that as we're all made in God's image, when we wrestle with God, in a way we're wrestling with ourselves. We're wrestling with who we are and how we were created. And there's even a midrash on this. And the midrash was that Jacob was indeed not necessarily wrestling an angel, but was wrestling himself. That he was wrestling with himself all night long. And specifically, he was wrestling with and fighting his insecurities. And he couldn't go forward to confront the person that all these years he wished he was until he confronted his actual self and was able to move past that. And I think this is something that we all want. We all want to be comfortable with who we are. And I love, by the way, as like I said, we're all made in God's image and likeness. I love that it says in the Torah when Moses asked God, "Who are you? How do I describe you?" God's response is Ehyeh asher ehyeh. I am that which I am. Or that can be translated as, I will be whatever I'll be. Maybe that's what we all want, is to be able to say, look, this is who I am, or this is who I'm going to be, and I'm going to become that. I think it's a great answer. Because tonight, I find myself in a country that I think is horribly divided and wrestling over the sense of who we are in this moment. And that division was exemplified today over the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. Now, in case you haven't been watching the news, what happened was a year ago, a black man named Jacob Blake was shot, unarmed man was shot by police officers. And when he was, there was a lot of protests that broke out, and the police officers were ultimately not convicted for shooting Jacob Blake in the back when he was not armed. They weren't charged with crime. And there was protests that broke out in the town of Kenosha, Wisconsin over this. And Jacob Blake, and three of the protesters were shot by a 17-year-old vigilante named Kyle Rittenhouse. And when this happened, Kyle Rittenhouse was arrested afterwards. First he wasn't. And what bothered me was that half of our country seemed to immediately think that Kyle Rittenhouse was a hero. Now, I'm not going to comment, by the way, if I think Kyle Rittenhouse is guilty or not. I'm not a legal expert. I wasn't a juror. That's not for me to decide. I don't know these things. But, what does bother me, though, was that, like I said, half of our country seemed to think that what he did was heroic. And I'm going to give you just the facts. Kyle Rittenhouse, who was 17 years old at the time, traveled over state lines from Illinois to Wisconsin and picked up an assault rifle that was illegally purchased for him. And he took the law into his own hands, and he killed 2 people and injured another person. And people are lauding this 17-year-old vigilante with an illegally acquired assault rifle as having done something heroic. And at the same time, though, I'm friends on Facebook with a couple people, who posted the following about the victims of this case. One was a convicted pedophile. One had a record of domestic abuse. And one had a record of misdemeanors. But is that relevant? Are we judging the 3 people who were shot and killed for their past and for their sense of morality? I don't think that is relevant. And indeed, it actually reminds me of what happened a number of years ago with Trayvon Martin, the black teenager who was shot by a man named George Zimmerman. Because people were tearing down Trayvon Martin's character. They said, well, he had marijuana in his system. Well, he did this, and here's a video of Trayvon Martin acting like a thug. And essentially what they were doing was tearing down the character of this person to say that their lives were not worthy of being on this earth. And it's upsetting to me to see that the same people who tore down an innocent black boy as violent when he was carrying a pack of Skittles with him are the same people who are lauding a white boy with an assault rifle who shot 3 people. Like I said, I don't know anything about the 3 people that were shot and if they were good people or not. But how can we say that because of their moral character, they're deserving of life or not? And so what folks have done is turn victims into people that are less than human. And what they've done as well is turn perpetrators into heroes. And so again, a question that I can say that is different, I think there's 2 different questions here. One question is Kyle Rittenhouse guilty or not? And today, our system, which I believe in, said he's not guilty. And there's a second question, which is Kyle Rittenhouse a hero or not? And that one I get to be a juror on. And I say no, he isn't. And those are 2 separate questions. And so as a society, I think we need to ask ourselves a question. Who are we? And who do we want to be? Because when we prop an individual like this up as a hero, and when we tear down people who were shot about things that are irrelevant to that specific moment, what that is that we have become ugly. And that isn't who we have to be. And we have to confront who we are. Now, maybe I'll say these words and people might walk out of the room, or people might turn off their TVs or whatever. But that's doing the exact opposite of wrestling. For the folks that walk out, or the folks that turn off their TV, that's akin to if Jacob had turned and walked the other way, away from that thing that was in front of him, whatever it was that he had to confront. We have to confront who we are. We need to accept what we have become. And we need to wrestle with it. We need to ask ourselves, why is it that we can put out there, hey everyone, I know this isn't relevant to the case, but just so you know, here's who these guys really were that got killed. Just an FYI. We need to accept who we are and how flawed we are as a society. We must be like Jacob, and we must become better. And only after this wrestling did he become the patriarch that we revere. Then that's why we call ourselves not the people of Jacob. We call ourselves the people of Israel because it's in that moment that he wrestled and confronted that we said, this is the name that we're going to take, and this is who we're going to be like, and this is who we're going to live our lives as a tribute to from this time forward, and bless our children in the name of. And like Jacob, we might get maimed and bruised and handicapped in this fight ourselves. But it's a fight we must undergo if we ever want to move forward, just like him. Perhaps we can recognize who we are, and then through admitting that, we can begin to grow, and we can become a nation that emulates the values that we desire to have. Shabbat Shalom. like I said earlier, I see my friend Dove DeLay here, who's a member of the Board of Trustees. And I'll make the first announcement. Dove, if you want to make the rest of the announcements, you can. But I'll just make the first announcement so you don't have to announce your own event, which is that tomorrow, Dove is going to be called up to our Torah as a B'nai Mitzvah. And so I hope you come and support them and be there to cheer Dove on. Our service will be a reform service starting at 9:30, and I'm very excited for it. And here you go, Dove. You can just start right there with this.
Groovy. Thank you, Rabbi. Y'all have to come because, you know, I'm almost 70. It was about time I did this, right? Hello to all the Zoom Jews. Thank you to our clergy, Rabbi and Cantor, our Shamash, Shemesh.
For tomorrow, so don't worry about that.
Okay, groovy. Support our high holiday appeal. Now that's for today. What are we at about? Our goal is 203,000, and I think we're up to 160.
We have a few more donations coming in today, so we're about
Excellent.
165.
Help us out, please, and donate. You know, you give $1, you get 10 back in return of karma. It's really a good thing. Let's see. These funds are helping, of course, to provide our members with quality services and programming like B'nai Mitzvah training for folks like me, students and adults, and social action programs like our great Utah Mobile Food Pantry that provides groceries to families. And if you've already donated, thank you very much. And, you know, donate again. Just keep donating. That's what we do here. Hanukkah begins Sunday, November 28th this year, super early. It's making me crazy. I don't know about you all, but got to prepare for it. But we're going to have a Hanukkah for All fundraiser, as we do every year, so that we make sure that everybody can share in the miracles of this season, that families and seniors receive a gift and some guilt from us, regardless of their circumstances. We also have another really great program we do this time of year, Coats for Kids, clothing, now through December 8th. If you will bring your gently used coats or even new ones, clothing and toiletries as well. These are distributed by the Great Jewish Family Services to those in need. And if you don't know, Jewish Family Services helps anyone. You do not have to be Jewish to use their services, their food bank. They are such a blessing in this community, and not a lot of folks know about them and what we do, so please help us do that. We have a new beginner Hebrew class Monday, December 6th, and Learn Torah Trope with Cantor for students and adults on Sundays. And we're going to have latkes of Hanukkah programming. That's funny. Submit your Hanukkah recipe to go in our Kolami cookbook. I think I submitted one. I can't remember what it's for, though. Our Hanukkah Film Festival is happening November 30th and December 2nd. I think we have 2 films that we're doing, and we're doing them here. KAJY Hanukkah party is Wednesday, December 1st, and a special Hanukkah Shabbat, including consecration on Friday, December 3rd. Rafi Schwartz Religious School Hanukkah parties, December 5th, and Shine a Light on Anti-Semitism on Sunday, December 5th as well. Whoa, there's a lot of things happening here. Check your emails and our website for all of this spelled out. And this week, our Board of Trustees, yay, well, that would be me, okay, with the approval of our COVID task of PhDs and MDs in the field, voted to allow limited eating of food in the building. Beginning today, we'll serve food inside the sanctuary and ask only that you remove your mask while actively eating and drinking, and otherwise keep your mask on. Alternative seating is available in the West Foyer, where doors will be open for additional ventilation. We're looking for volunteers to set up Kiddushim on Saturday mornings. Contact the office if you're interested. It's no big deal. It's really easy to do. And for our guests, please return your lanyards, because we keep recycling them. And thanks to all of our volunteers and donors for all that you do to help fulfill our mission here and our vision at Kol Ami. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Thanks, Dove. Thanks for reading those fantastic, great announcements. All right, we are going to resume our service on page 586. with the Eleno. And how about we try something, by the way? I mean, just to preempt this, I'll say we're going to rise for the Elenu. But, I think it's kind of nice when we can just flow into the next thing instead of me giving you all these instructions. So the cantor and I are going to turn towards the ark for the Elenu, just as we do for the Baruch Hu and the Amidah. And maybe, starting next week or whatever, maybe I'm not going to say please rise anymore. Maybe we can just turn and face the ark, and when you see us turn and face the ark, that's your cue to rise. And when we turn back, that'll be your cue to sit back down. And that way, it's less me talking like I am right now, and more of us just going right into prayer. I like that. Let's give it a try. Page 586 at the bottom of the page.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, ויגור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God in each hour of the 24, in each moment then. In the faces of men and women and all people I see God, and in my own face and the glass. I find letters from God dropped in the street, and every one is signed by God's name. And I leave them where they are, for I know that wheresoever I go, others will punctually come forever and ever. If I read the name of a loved one of yours, I'll invite you to rise upon hearing that name. In the period of Shloshim, 30-day period of mourning, we remember Samuel Warsaw, father of Art Warsaw, and Alana Rubel, one of our past congregants who was laid to rest. It was nice, Alana, I'll just tell you. She converted here at Colomine, then moved away and decided to be buried back here in Salt Lake St. Colomine cemeteries because she said that she felt that becoming Jewish is where her life began, so she wanted to return to that. Really lovely. And this week we commemorate the following Yortzite's anniversary of the passing of these loved ones: Muriel Abrash, Sophie Albert, Helen Arnovitz, Dora Bacalar, Rose Bloom, Ezra Borman, Florence Broadman, Irving Browerny, Ben Davis, Joseph Davis, Harry Frank, Alexandra Gitlin, Goyla Glosser, Jenny Lundy Goldstein, Ruth Goldstein, Rennie Gottesman, Betty Gottlieb, Eddie Green, Edward Greenberg, Jean Greenberg, Max Hecht, Theodore Hinteliff, Paulina Imkhanitskava, Minnie Joseph, Ilona Kellen, Bella Levinson, Sydney Marcus, Laura Martinez, Goldie Maratsnik, Nate Morgan, Nobu Ono, Angie Petrakis, Harold Perlman, Bertha Pillett, Max Polliner, Sarah Pomerantz, Max Rosenblatt, Saul Rudnitsky, Leo Schalheim, Amy Schiller, Geraldine Schwartz, Israel Shapiro, James Silberman, Lena Strauss, Erwin Tobin, Bernard Weiss, Gwen Williams, and Ethel Zucker. And if you have a name to add, I invite you to rise when I look in your direction to share that name with our community. If you have a name at home, I invite you to share that name as well. Zichanam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. If you are in mourning or tradition, do so. You're welcome to rise. We are on page 598. Yikadah v'ikadash shemer ba, ve'alma divrach hirute v'yemnech malchute, v'chaychon u'vyamechon u'chayedahol be'Yisrael, ba'agalah v'zman karev v'imru. Amen. Yehe shmei rabba mivarach le'olam omei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei d'kudishah b'rihu, le'elah min kol berchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nehemata, ta'ami ram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who are mourning come for the bereaved among us. Again we say, Amen.
Amen.
And do we have a closing song?
We do. It is called Gesher Tsar Me'od. And I'm looking for a page.
Six.
So it's in the back.
I want to guess 626 will be my guess. Nope,
Adonalama 626.
that's in Kelhainu. I don't know.
Oh, get there.
Well, that's okay. Just go ahead. We know it.
Okay.
I'll look for it.
All the world is a narrow bridge. The most important thing is not to be afraid. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar me'od.
643.
Gesher tzar me'od. Gesher tzar me'od. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar me'od. Gesher tzar me'od. והעיקר, העיקר, לא לפחד, לא לפחד כלל. והעיקר, והעיקר, לא לפחד כלל. יא לה לה לה, יא לה לה לה, יא לה לה לה, יא la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la.
We'll rise for Kiddush on page 123. Peter.
Sure. Lots of paper. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, b'ava uv'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת וידענו אתה מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן.
L'chaim.
לחיים.
And thank you. And we have a challah here for Motzi.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ בתיאבון.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
שבת שלום, שבת שלום, היי, שבת שלום, שבת, 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 שבת שלום, שבת שלום, שבת שלום, שבת, 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 שבת שלום, שבת, 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 שבת שלום, שבת, 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 שבת שלום, שבת שלום, שבת שלום, היי, שבת, 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 שבת שלום. שבת שלום. Sorry, I forgot to charge him before tonight.